have a vote on that. It's something that was going to be discussed and debated deliberately throughout October and November, remembering that this is an end-of-the-year issue. The subsidy doesn't expire until December 31st. And as I've also explained, Jake, I mean, we have 535 members in the House and Senate, and there are a myriad number of ideas on reforms that would be necessary to actually have that passed into law and extended. We need all this time to negotiate that. But yes, I mean, that has always been the intention. And Leader Thune and I meet almost every other day, at least, to touch gloves and make sure we're on the same page. He is bending over backwards to offer to Schumer and the Democrats everything possible to get the government opened again. But they've now voted 10 times to keep it shut down. And real harm is being felt by real American people. By the way, that overture by Leader Thune was turned down by Chuck Schumer. He wants a guaranteed outcome of that vote, and that's not something we can deliver today because we haven't had all that deliberation yet.
There's not a lot of trust between Democrats and Republicans on the Hill right now. I want you to listen to what Senator Bernie Sanders said on our CNN town hall last night about talk of health care negotiations. This is what he said.
They've refused to negotiate, and anyone thinks that tomorrow they'll suddenly start negotiating, I think is smoking what is illegal in many states.
It sounds as though Leader Thune is negotiating behind the scenes to assure Democrats the negotiations are real. Are you talking at all to your Democratic counterparts? Are you doing any negotiating?
There have been constant negotiations going on, both inside the individual parties and across the chambers and across the aisle. I don't know what Bernie Sanders is talking about. So much of what he said, or what I've heard he said at his town hall last night, is incorrect, inaccurate. I think he knows that. He's been around here a long time. But look, this has, as I mentioned, the Obamacare subsidy was an issue that was always going to have to be resolved by way of consensus and thoughtful deliberation and discussion. There has been a lot of that on this subject. There is currently, and there will be going forward. That has nothing to do with the short-term stopgap funding measure of the continuing resolution. Bernie Sanders knows that. Chuck Schumer knows that. Everybody knows that. This is not a health care fight. This is a fight about keeping the lights on. This is a short-term funding fight, 7 weeks, simple measure to allow us to continue all this work. And ironically, they are the ones that are trying to stop that.
Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia has broken with your party, saying she's disgusted that these Obamacare subsidies are going to expire and that health insurance premiums could double. She says that Republican leaders have not given a plan to help the millions of Americans to deal with this. Do you have a plan?
Marjorie's frustrated because we're all frustrated. I had a thoughtful conversation with her on the phone right after she said that. I think the next evening. She's a friend and a colleague, and I explained to her all the deliberation and all the discussion that's been going on. Marjorie doesn't serve on the committees of jurisdiction where that's their specialty and their main area of interest. And I invited her to join the conversation and come into the room when all those deliberations are being had. So, look, there is a lot of frustration around here right now because we know that the American people are suffering. They're struggling right now. Paychecks are being withheld. Services are not being provided. I mean, real harm to real people because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate are playing a game. I am very hopeful, Jake, that at least 5 Senate Democrats will come to their senses and do the right thing. We must have 60 votes to break the impasse in the Senate. We sent over a totally clean CR, and I can't emphasize this enough. We did not put any Republican partisan priorities on that bill when we sent it over from the House. It's exactly what Chuck Schumer voted on last March, and it's the exact same thing they've done their entire careers and gave impassioned speeches that we should do because they said, and Chuck Schumer said himself as recently as March of this year, it would be terribly irresponsible and dangerous to shut the government down because of all the people who are harmed in that process. I don't know what's happened except that politics has gotten in the way, and he's afraid that he's going to have a challenge from AOC or one of the other Marxist Democrats, and then he's going to lose his Senate seat. That's the only way to explain his about-face.
So speaking of AOC, last night at CNN's Town Hall, she criticized you for closing down the House of Representatives during this period where negotiation is needed and the Senate's in session. Take a listen.
They need to pick up a phone, Caitlin. I've never seen people who hate working so much in my life. I mean, genuinely, they won't even pick up the phone. If I were Mike Johnson, you should be in that office negotiating with Hakeem Jeffries every damn day until we reopen this government. And any day that you don't do that is a failure.
Your response, sir?
Yeah, instead of doing publicity stunts like AOC likes to do, instead of making social media videos, Republicans are working. We have been working. Right now, they're in their districts doing very valuable work. In our press conference this morning, I highlighted some of the very important things they're doing right now. What are they doing? They're trying to help their constituents navigate through this crisis that has been created by Democrats like AOC. She voted on September 19th in the House to block the pay for troops, TSA agents, Border Patrol agents, air traffic controllers, to stop the services to nutrition supplemental programs to women, infants, and children. She voted to stop service to the elderly and disabled and veterans. That's her vote record, and she's trying to obscure that fact and blame Republicans. I am always open to negotiating, but we had the negotiations in the House, and the mutual agreement by Republicans and Democrats, who were appropriators, who were working on the government funding, was to extend it for 7 weeks to November 21st so they would have time to finish the appropriations process.